I made a proposal. How about we play thieves ourselves? To my delight, both Kai and Louisa loved the idea. We'd somehow ended up in my room and had sat down on the bed. Let me think for a second, I said. First of all, we need something worth stealing. My eyes wandered through the room and ended up on a bright pink piggy bank sitting on top of a drawer, a classic. One of us steals the piggy bank, I suggested, and distributed the roles myself. Kai's going to be the detective. Bubblegum, Louisa and I are going to be the suspects. You, Kai, as the detective, have to find out which of us is the thief. And how is he supposed to do that? Asked Louise. I didn't have an answer to that question, but I hoped that I would find one soon. For now, I just grabbed the piggy bank and immediately noticed a good bunch of colorful fingerprints I'd left on its surface. I must have been drawing something with felt tip pens and touched a small plastic pig before the ink had time to dry on my fingertips. Those fingerprints inspired Kai to a brilliant idea. Wait, I've seen this on TV before, on Galileo. You can identify a person, or rather in this case a thief, only based on their fingerprints. You got a pencil sharpener and a pencil? I wasn't 100% sure what Kai had planned, but I opened a desk drawer filled with all sorts of little trinkets and gave him both. He also grabbed a piece of paper and sharpened the pencil on top of it, leaving a thin layer of pulverized lead on the white surface. After covering the piggy bank in the fine powder, he put it back onto the paper and announced, I'm now going to leave the room. You get bubblegum in here, and one of you touches the pig when it's covered in pencil dust. Then you accidentally leave a fingerprint on top of the paper. The dust particles are so tiny they stick to the tip of your finger, and if you touch the paper afterwards, you'll have a fingerprint. He demonstrated the thief-catching technique with his own finger. The print looked a little smudged, but I reckoned there was a decent chance it would still work. We went over to Bubblegum, who was busy reading his car magazine for the probably 20th time today. Janine lounged on a couch, looking through a stack of postal advertisements. What are you doing? She asked, casting a suspicious glance, as if we were on a secret mission to steal one of her freshly baked cakes. She didn't even bake all that often. We're just taking Bubblegum to play a game. All right, said Janine. Take care he doesn't get his hands dirty. We took Bubblegum, including his magazine that he refused to let go of for even a second, back to my room. I sighed the entire way through. Janine seemed to have acquired the all-knowing view of a mother ever since she'd learned about a new baby, knowing exactly what and when something wasn't going the way it should, because there was a very high chance of Bubblegum's hands, more specifically his fingers, getting dirty over the course of our game. Had she installed a camera and microphone into my room? Or did she simply have supernaturally good ears, listening into our conversations, all while pretending to read on the couch? I'd really like to know. In the meantime, Kai had actually left the room, leaving us to decide the thief. How much money do you have in that piggy bank? Asked Louise curiously. I think it's about 210 euros, I answered. My dad throws in some change every once in a while, and I got a larger amount of money from my aunt not too long ago. Well, that pig is definitely worth stealing then, concluded Louise. I know. Now who of us is going to take the identity of the burglar? I thought about giving the role to Bubblegum, but his fingers are so small, Kai would immediately notice that it hadn't been one of us. You're right, said Louise. Then she seemed to have an idea. Though, we could just squeeze his finger into the paper and roll it around a bit for good measure. That way the print's gonna look bigger and it's gonna take Kai a while to guess that it's actually from a toddler. That's brilliant, I said, and carefully handed the pig to Bubblegum. You wanna have this for a bit? I asked. Bubblegum gave me the brightest of grins and nodded. Good, now put your finger onto the paper, to show that you actually received the pig. My little brother had already held the pig, and his pointy finger had accumulated just enough dust to make a good fingerprint. He pressed it onto the paper with an expression so severe, it looked like he was signing a document to ensure the safety of the entire human race, in collaboration with the United Nations. There was no need to flatten his finger for a larger print. He did it all by himself. And soon we had a gorgeous fingerprint from our perpetrator. Are we gonna let him play along for the interrogation process? Asked Louise. I took one look at my brightly grinning little brother. He looked overjoyed holding my piggy bank in one hand and his car magazine in the other. No, let's bring him back to the kitchen, I decided. There's a good chance he'll refuse to let go of the pig, and then Kai's gonna have a pretty strong clue as to just who the thief was. Yeah, I doubt anyone's gonna separate Bubblegum and that pig anytime soon. Should we at least try to wash his hands? Louise voiced a valid concern. You definitely should, Janine yelled from the hallway across the room. She really seemed to have supernaturally good ears, the ears of a true mother, so to say. So we tried to wash Bubblegum's hands, and it went just as well as I thought it would. Bubblegum didn't let go of his pick for even 1 second. We managed to wrangle a car magazine from his right hand, but when it was time for the left, we simply resorted to washing the pig right alongside it. At least now the pig was clean as well. "Are you done soon?" we suddenly heard Kai yell. "We are," I yelled back, and we shoved Bubblegum back into the kitchen. Janine threw a disapproving glance at his hand, but seemed content enough to keep quiet about it. Back in my room, we called out for Kai. "Kai, you can come back now." He strolled into the room, nose up high, and took inventory of the crime scene. In addition to his overall demeanor, he'd pretended to hold a magnifying glass in one hand. It would have looked a lot less silly if he'd actually had one. I see, he announced nasally, like he wasn't an 8-year-old boy, but an age-old detective, disillusioned by decades-long, never-ending fights against the evils of the world.